Hi, I'm James at Frost Garden Centre. I'm Head of Horticulture. Today we're going to talk about container gardening. So what do we mean by container gardening? Basically, it's you getting creative in a smaller area, you creating your own little mini gardens, that little bit of colour, things for outside your front door, a patio garden, even low maintenance you can class it. And it's just planting lots of different heights and colours and enjoy it, it's really enjoyable. Now we're going to talk about your shade to your sun lovers. Huge range, you just don't realise how much choice you've got. So let's start on the shade, because I know there's a lot of you out there who need to know what can you use. I mean, you've got some classics here. I mean, you've got begonias, lots of different colours. I mean, this is a beautiful rich red, but you get a lovely oranges, yellows, really good. Don't need to give them a lot of water because they just rot. And then also you can use a range of different types of heucheras, which again, these flower as well, lots of different colours you can see. You can have these in sun and shade. So again, you can theme it. And then also succulents. I mean, this is one low bulb, but this is just to show you the effect. Again, don't like a lot of water, well drained, lots of grit. We sell the small pots where you can build your own. Again, have a bit of fun with the kids, make lots of different sort of colours, textures. And a lot of people collect these and they're really funky. And also again, you can use dianthus in part shade and sun. Again, these are really scented, pink kisses. There's Peach Party, which is a lovely peach colour. Just keep deadheading. So once one stops, finished flowering, just nip it off the top and more keep coming. And then at the end of the season, give it a haircut. And then you should get another flower later in the year and then do the same again in the spring. So that's it on the shade. Next, you can see it's a much bigger range for sun. I mean, where do we start? There's loads of things. Let's start with the shrubs. So Hebe's fantastic, evergreen, loads of different colours. I can't bring them all because there's so many. I mean, this has a beautiful lilac purple colour. The stems are even a bit more darker and it has masses of flower. So these are really reliable. Lavender, again, this is the French variety. You've got the English and even a little bit of wildlife, both sides. Introducing the bees to your pots, it's really good. Got a small balcony. You can use all of these kind of plants in your containers, your troughs, and you can see that heucheras again, which I showed you the other side, lots of different colours and textures. You can see these are going to flower very soon. The yellows, there's a green one, and then just going into perennials you can use. Astrantia again, lots of different colours. And then we're going on to sort of more of the bedding traditional type. Now these are amazing. Again, I find them quite prehistoric. I mean, even people collect them, but you can see just the colour contrasts are just amazing. Dahlias, which are really popular, lots of different colours. We do the dwarf varieties, we do, you know, the much bigger ones. And then again, geraniums, look at those. Those are amazing. And even if you touch the leaf, it's got that scent as well. And then you've got your osteospermums. Again, lots of colours, but these are really going to that real tropical effect, especially now. You want that vibrant, bright colours, just to really give you that smile in the garden when you look at your containers. And then we've got your trailers at the front. So again, lots of different colours, especially the silvers and the purples. Even with all of these, they just, you know, really go so well. Got lots of million bells, rich colours coming over. So you find this time of year now, it's a lot of summer now we're coming into with lots of rich, heavy colours. And then you've got your Nemesia, which is the Wisley Vanilla. Smells of ice cream, it's amazing. Finally, just look at the last two, you've got famous Cosmos, fuchsias, fantastic plants. Cosmos, you know, goes all the way through to the summer, early autumn. And as you can see, even coming out of spring, which you get a big choice, even the summertime, there's lots of colour, and it'll just give you lots of joy and happiness. Next, we're going to talk about choosing your pot, bit of pot care, and I'm going to do a demonstration on planting up a container and just show you some colours. There's no rules. You can see here that I've picked a real wide variety of different things. So, pick your pot. So basically, best way to pick your pot is when you look at your house style, colour, style of your garden, whether it's a cottage garden, a contemporary garden. You know, if you've got a contemporary, you might want to go whites, blacks, silvers, very plain, sharp, architectural. If you've got a cottage garden, you might want to go the more natural effect, terracotta, or you've got the Thai brown sort of kind of effect. Or if you've got even a modern sort of funky garden, you might want to go bright colours. So that's where I would say starting to look at pots. Now, planting a container, always get, if you can, try and do it on a table where you can place your plants, get a bit of a feel for how you want to design it. You could even manoeuvre it on the table and just sort of give an idea of how you want to plant it up. Obviously, get your pot ready, put a bit of grit, terracotta at the bottom just to help for drainage, and then start filling up the pot with your compost. So compost wise, use either a multi-purpose, which has got about 4 to 6 weeks feeding, or you can use a moisture control, which has got a wetting agent in the soil, which will help keep it moist. Now, after 6 weeks, you will need to add a bit more feed or a bit more moisture gel. So fill it up virtually to the top, leave about 2 inches from the top, just to give yourself a bit of room to put your plants in, just to give you that design. You don't want to plant them straight away in case you change your mind. So just keep filling. And then the fun begins. So I've chosen a few different types just to show you. So you've got a cordyline, which is off of one stem and the leaves go out that way. Or you've got a phormium where they grow sideways. So both of these are good for centerpiece, or you might want one at the back or a corner. Or you've got some nice grasses, which are really quite funky, different. Again, you've got that soft texture within the wind. Pick the one you want. So I'm gonna have a look at the grass, place it in the pot, and then start building. So we've got some really cool funky colours here. So we've got a nice geranium. Remember where you're going to place it as well, which is important. If it's going to go outside your front door and it's going against the wall, you obviously want the bigger stuff at the back because you won't see round the back. Or if it's going in the middle of your patio, then obviously design it so it's equal all the way round. I'm going to pretend this is outside a front door. And colour themes as well, which is important. So here I'm going to go sort of oranges, yellows, reds, sort of a lemony sort of colours, purples, because a purple will be good in there, silvers. Now you want a bit of trailing, so you can see that'll trail over. Coleus, again, really cool textures. So you can see already it's building up. And then just step back and look, and even if you're not happy with one, take one out, put one in. I mean, look at that. Now, people always ask about how many plants do you put in. I think more the merrier. Give it that wowness, that real impact. It doesn't matter, because this is going to grow a clump forming, that'll be a clump, that'll be a clump, this will be a clump. This will get bigger. Eventually, you might need to transplant into the garden. But certainly for the first year, it will look amazing. Remember, just keep checking it all the way round. So there's a little gap in there, you know, I might think something else in, just to add that bit of texture, that bit of colour, and then manoeuvre it all the way round. So you think, yeah, does that look right? See, I'm moving it around, bit of colour, and I think, yeah, I'm happy with that. If you're having a pot on its own, you could just do that. If you're having two pots, you can copy them, have them exactly the same, or you could have them exactly the same, but just change one plant. So it just gives it a little bit of difference. So when you're planting with your trailing plants, instead of planting them like that, plant them slightly at an angle, because you're telling it to accelerate and lean over, and you'll get a better flow. And then when you're planting all the rest, if you leave about an inch from the top, now the reason why you do that is, once you've filled in all the gaps, is when you water it, you don't want all the compost coming out. So once you've done that, place it in the position, give it a really good drink. And then I would say watering and feeding, again, if it's been windy, keep giving it a drink because it takes the moisture out. If it's been really hot, I would check it daily. And then on average, I'll check it at least once a week. And then feeding wise, certainly mid-spring, beginning of summer, I would start feeding something like your Osmocote tablets, which you can just place in the soil. It'll feed it for 6 months, or even things like Tomerite, Miracle Grow, which you can use, and I would feed it every 3 to 4 weeks until the end of October. And then just sit back and enjoy your container. Just give you a few extra tips to create more flowers in a healthier container. When the flowers are done, just nip it and just deadhead it, follow the stem down to the leaf and then just nip it out, and then more and more flower will keep coming. Also a bit of care as well with the pot. I would recommend sort of pot feet as well, or if you've got any old bits of wood or brick, just to raise it off the floor. It's only because if it rains in the winter and you get ice or freezes, it just stops it from cracking and it just lets the water run freely through it. So if it's a really wet day like today, you don't need to water it. If it's much more mild and it's not as hot, you don't have to do as much feeding. It's only when it gets extreme heat is when it takes the goodness out of the soil and the plants. They just get tired, and that's when you need to make sure you need to encourage more watering, feeding. You'll get a much healthier, pest-free container, and then just, sit back and admire your great work. Next stage, we're going to look at grow your own. So we're going to look at some fruit, vegetables and herbs. So we're going to do a demonstration again like I did with a flowering container. So when you choose your herbs, obviously pick the ones that you use for your kitchen. Don't overcrowd because they need room to grow. Now, if you're, depending on the pot size, but if you're picking this kind of size, I'd suggest 3, 5 of the smaller for this kind of size, and just space them out. Even if you want to make it decorative with the different leaf textures, colours. So that's on those, on the herbs. Just keep cutting for when you're using. If you're going to use vegetables, obviously it's picking the right ones. We've got some baby carrots here. It doesn't matter how wide the pot is, the depth that it needs. Runner beans, fantastic. You do need like an obelisk, or if you want to use canes to start growing them up. And then things like your tomatoes, again, plant in the middle. You only need 1 in this size container because it will get very tall. You will need to put some canes in there. When they start to flower, that's when you start feeding. Giving everything a drink, I would be careful. Don't overwater your tomatoes because it's prone for more diseases, so less is more. Same with the strawberries because you don't want the fruit to rot. Herbs, I would probably keep them more moist and damp. And then the same with the vegetables, more moist and damp. And then sort of more care tips once they start flourishing, just regularly, just keep taking the fruit or the veg, encourage more, and basically just enjoy and watch it grow. So the next stage is to talk about containers outside your front door and which are the best plants, and just give you some ideas there. So I've got a selection here to show you. So we call this a lollipop or a standard. So main stem grows from the top. This is a Euronymous, gives you colour all year round, really nice bright colour, evergreen. Also we've got 2 types of roses. you've got a half standard and a quarter standard, so just different in heights. And then you've got a Buxus pyramid. Again, just gives you a nice bit of difference of shape. And then we've got some Cordelines and Formiums. Now, picking, I would again look at the style of your house, you know, even the colour of your front door, because you want to make sure they, you know, complement each other. And then really aftercare and sort of maintenance, this, obviously you want to keep it a nice big round ball shape, so just keep pruning it. Always step back and just see where you have to cut. Important with the roses, always dead head. So when you're cutting the dead head off, always follow the stem down to the next node. And the node is where the lumpy bit is on the stem, and just cut diagonal. And it's important that you cut diagonal, so when it rains, the water slides off and it stops any rotting. Treat the Buxus the same as the lollipops, just give it a trim. That keeps it, you know, a nice shape. And then we've got the Formiums and the Cordelines. Again, you know, maintenance wise, you will get browning of the leaves, but that's allowing the new growth in, and you literally just pull them out or just cut them from the very bottom. And then things like your standard as well, just another good tip, you can complement it with some low growing plants. Again, you can use some trailing plants, bedding plants, and you can change it through the seasons. And then it just gives you a really nice, fresh looking front door. You know, really happy when you come home, you've got that nice, you know, scent from the roses, or that constant greenness, and just enjoy. Hope you enjoyed the video on the hints and tips, demonstrations we've done for you today. If you need any expert advice, please come and see us at the Garden Centre. Many thanks.